Well, as the countdown to the local government elections gathers momentum, political parties are intensifying their campaigns and unveiling candidates they hope will secure voter support. And for more on the latest political developments, we're joined by Professor Ntsikelelo Breakfast, the Acting Director at the Center for Security, Peace and Conflict Resolution at the Nelson Mandela University. Prof, a very good evening to you. Thanks for joining us. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me, and long time no see.
Indeed, long time no see. Good to have you on the show this evening, Prof. Now, we are less than 3 months from the November 4th polls, and parties are rolling out candidates at very different speeds. Now, I mean, the DA has finalized almost all its metro candidates. The EFF, on the other hand, has done the same. But the ANC hasn't announced a single metro mayoral candidate just as yet. So what does that sequencing tell us about the internal state of each party?
Yes, elections are just around the corner. We see political parties moving from one city to the other, traveling the length and the breadth of the country, trying to garner votes for the upcoming local government elections. The ANC has been very circumspect and very thorough in terms of how it packages its message and manifesto that it is going to unveil. I think they've been trying to consult. I mean, they've had a very thorough process. I'm not saying that they're going to do well, though. I think that is up for grabs, whether they are going to do well or not. But the thinking and the planning has been quite intense. They have interviewed their candidates for mayorship, which is good, but we'll see how it goes at the polls.
And just considering that the UDM is reportedly leading towards Ngabayomzi Mkwankwa, the party's deputy president, as its Buffalo City candidate, but Mkwankwa himself has been very coy, even suggesting that he could be considered in Johannesburg too. So what does that say about the UDM's organizational depth if its second most powerful leader is one of very few plausible standard bearers it can field?
Look, my view is that I think that is a good call. I'll tell you why, because I think that candidate is going to give the ANC a good run for its money.
Yes.
Remember, that area is a stronghold of the UDM. Even though I don't think that they are going to win, but I think they are going to pose a threat to the ANC. The reason why I'm saying that they're not going to win, it's not because the ANC in that area has a good track record of getting the job done, but it's because of the political setup. What do I mean by that? You have a rural section of the population there in Buffalo City. I know that area. You also have a section of urban dwellers. And the ANC normally does well when it is participating in elections in the rural section of the population. So I don't think, if it was a setup like Nelson Mandela, it would have been a different kettle of fish. But I think the ANC is going to win there. But at the same time, I think that Mkwankwa is going to pose a serious threat. I think he's a strong candidate, and the party enjoys a great deal of support there.
And having said that, I mean, the Buffalo City Metro has had 4 ANC mayors in 5 years, including a recall of poor audit outcomes and wasteful expenditure. So does fielding Mkwankwa there suggest that the DM believes it can genuinely contend for the Metro, or is this more about visibility, as it were? I mean, just using a senior figure to keep the party relevant in the Eastern Cape ahead of 2029?
Remember, I think the president of UDM comes from the former Transkei, which is not far from Buffalo City. So that's why I said in the beginning that is a stronghold of UDM. So I think the party does pose a threat to the ANC. But at the same time, you must remember, I always say this, political power in post-colonial states, it comes from 2 political spaces, namely the rural section of the population and the urban centers. Because in rural areas, traditional leaders are more powerful than politicians, and they are the ones who normally tell the electorate how to vote and who to vote for.
Right.
So the ANC, I think, will do well there, not because of the track record of getting the job done, but because of its relationship with traditional leaders.
Now, the Democratic Alliance has struggled historically to make real inroads in townships like Khayelitsha, which remains solidly an ANC EFF contested terrain. What would it actually take then in terms of candidate profile or even campaign messaging or even track record for the DA councillor candidates to be competitive rather than just symbolic?
Yeah, interestingly, on a lighter note, in the background, when we were setting the scene, they were saying that their enemies are on the run. So maybe but,
I heard that, yeah.
Yeah. So I think, I mean, in the Western Cape, I can bet my bottom dollar. I think they're going to do well there. Mm-hmm. They are very strong there because of the setup of the Western Cape. I mean, they control a number of municipalities. I think they are going to win a number of them. But I don't think that there will be an outright winner in the city of Johannesburg, because they are also participating there with a stronger candidate, Helen Zille. I think we are likely to have a coalition arrangement in the city of Johannesburg. But in other places like Nelson Mandela, it's going to be interesting how the electoral outcomes are going to be.
Is the DA's push into Khayelitsha genuinely about winning wards, or is it more about the optics? I mean, the optics of demonstrating non-racial appeal ahead of coalition negotiations in Cape Town and other metros?
So if we look at the posture of the DA, and this is one of the weaknesses of the DA, normally it gets clean audits, but at the same time, it diverts a lot of money to former white suburbs. If you look at the IDP budget and even some of the LED projects of the municipalities that they normally run, and therefore they tend to have a blind spot for townships. I was in Cape Town a couple of days ago. You can see the social and the economic cleavages. They are so palpable, the divide between the powerful and the powerless. And everywhere they govern, that is their blind spot. And I don't think that because of that, they are going to get a lot of votes from those townships, even though I think they have an upper hand, and I think they are going to win in my view. But I don't think that they are going to solicit too much votes from townships.
Now, just a few minutes ago, we spoke to the ACDP's mayoral candidate, Wayne Thring, and the ACDP has never been a major electoral force nationally, so to speak. So what's the strategic logic of a manifesto launch at this point in the cycle? Is it aimed at winning outright seats, or at least positioning itself as a coalition partner in hung councils, which is increasingly how smaller parties gain influence at the local government level?
Well, they have a footprint in a number of municipalities throughout the length and the breadth of the country. And I think their strong point is the fact that they are a custodian of ethical leadership because of their strong religious influence and the background, the values that they stand for. So I think they need to leverage on that, but they are not embedded in many communities. I don't see, a lot of branches of ACDP in many townships and so on. But I think they have a good strategic advantage as a voice of reason, because one of the problems that we have in this country is that we need to bridge the gap of poor leadership, and I think they are in a better position to fill that void or to bridge that gap because of what they stand for. So there is an audience that their message is going to resonate with.
Now, Prof, just given how crowded the values-based and the faith-oriented political space has become, with the SADP and others, how does the ACDP then differentiate itself enough to avoid vote splitting with parties chasing similar constituencies?
Let me open a can of worms. Many people say that South Africa is a secular state. I tend to differ, because if you look at the research done by the Human Science Research Council, about 80% of the people of this country have a religious background. So you can't say that we're a secular state. That's why I'm saying that there is an audience that ACDP can pitch its message to, because most people, they stand for those values. I'm not saying that values of a particular religious orientation, but most people in this country are very spiritual, and therefore I think they can take a strategic advantage of that and try to remind people that we need ethical leadership in municipalities and so on. But at the same time, they need to embed themselves in communities and make sure that there is no distance between themselves and the constituencies that they are leading.
Now, the rural municipalities like these, often see local government elections decided as much by traditional leadership dynamics and the ward-level patronage networks as by party manifestos. So how much can a relatively small national party like the APC, for instance, realistically disrupt those entrenched local networks?
That's a very good point, because local government has been used as a center of accumulation to amass wealth.
Yeah.
And we've seen corruption being practiced in a number of municipalities. But you must remember, throughout history, since 1995, there's always been what I call a hybridization of electoral system. What do I mean by that? You have first past the post, meaning that the electorate can vote for a person directly. On the contrary, you also have the PR system, meaning that political parties, they get seats proportionally. So people now have a golden opportunity to vote for a person or to vote for political parties. Therefore, I think there is a space for smaller political parties to do well in these elections. And also the other thing is that one-party dominance is a thing of the past. The hegemony of the ANC has been threatened. So it's no longer obvious that a particular political party is going to dominate the political landscape. So I think smaller political parties also can make a change for the better at local government level.
All right, Professor Breakfast, great chatting to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
All right, Professor Ntsikelelo Breakfast there, the Acting Director at the Center for Security, Peace and Conflict Resolution at the Nelson Mandela University, helping us analyze the party dynamics ahead of the local government elections.